Hmm. Oh wait, I'm gonna try Zoom. Do I not have Zoom? That can't be right. Sorry about this. I guess I did forget. Oh wait, let me try one thing. This is so dumb. Sorry. What's up, Jamie? I'm just trying to do Zoom instead of Google Meet, and feeling kind of silly because I'm doing this live. We'll get there. Wait, isn't this the same thing? I just Alright, I'm just gonna do Google for now. And I'm just gonna DM it to you, Jamie. Alright, I haven't used Streamlabs yet until now. My son told me I should start using it. And so now I've got, I don't know, we'll see if it works. I'm supposed to have like notifications and stuff come up. So that'll be interesting. I don't know. I guess I haven't even confirmed that I have audio. Seems like it's alright, cool. I need to give Dennis the URL. What's up, Jamie? Oh wait. Hey, that worked. Oh, and then I'll do. Are you in my time zone, Jamie? Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Well, good evening.
Where are you right now? Are you still in? You're in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, I'm north of Boston. Like just north of Salem. It's like a good landmark that people might know from the witch trials. It gets kind of crazy.
Yeah,
here.
I've been there a couple times.
Oh, really? Did you do like a class trip or something to the Seven Gables or something like that?
I have family that lives like kind of around there. They live in what's it called? I forget what it's called. They live in Harvard.
Cambridge?
No, not Cambridge. It's like called Harvard.
Oh, really?
I believe.
There's a town called Harvard? I don't know where that is.
Hold on.
I believe you, but I'm unfamiliar. So you asked me what I was hoping that you could help with,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we'll figure it out sort of on the fly. It seems like there's help to be had, or to be helped. I don't know. Um, and I know you're particularly useful and talented in social stuff, and that's a lot of what I could use help with. I'm also just, as you know, completely clumsy with Figma. What's up, Dennis?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi.
I very embarrassingly couldn't get Zoom
Hey.
open, so we're just doing this for now.
Are we live or are we?
Yeah, no, I'm streaming. I haven't said anything, but that doesn't mean there's no one watching. I'm trying Streamlabs, which all right, so Josh is in here, and Diversified Bonds is in here. I don't know where to look. Oh, here we go. Okay, so there's 16 people watching, but that's just from Twitch notifications, I think, unless someone said something. Um, Dennis, do you know how long it took me to figure out your Twitter handle? And
Well,
like,
after people have been having trouble, my SEO broke.
hold on.
My SEO broke.
Why do I have an echo?
That was me.
Oh, okay, cool, good. Phew. Say it again.
I broke my SEO. Well, now you're revealing my secrets.
Wait,
About my imposter Twitter handle.
I can change it. Um, Although I guess it. I don't know if it's. I don't know to what degree Twitch records things um, by itself already without me asking it to. I may have switched on something that does like a temporary recording, and then I know people can clip things, which I don't know how that works. But anyway, I'm happy to. Well, wouldn't your SEO be kind of screwed up by virtue of people misspelling it all the time?
Well, because the display name is factored into when you search for someone, and then I took my name off.
Well, you know, I wanted to. What would I do? Would ideally I just do it in sentence case or something? Because I actually wanted to redo it anyway.
Oh, it's all good. Well, it's funny. I think it's funny.
No, can't do that. I just screwed there.
It's funny having quit open. There's a delay from the Google Meet. Anyway.
Wait. And then I'll show off how OBS Studio, whatever. What am I doing? Streamlabs works. So I'm gonna do this quick. What was the last one? Oh, it's post mirror. Do you know? Yeah, actually, you saw. We already talked about this. Of course, you saw it. I wanted to make this black. Is what I wanted to do, so it'll stand out more, or at least just be different. Right now, it's just kind of floating in a way that. I also wanted to try and see if a transparent SVG would work. So, Jamie, we had been talking about what you could be doing, and I think my initial thought was just that I'm not quite sure, and I'm hoping you can help me figure it out.
Okay.
And then, but I think sort of the theme is taking stuff that gets done, adding ideas as anyone would, and then also applying some of the stuff that we're doing as you see fit, or as we talk about, to some of the templates that you've already built.
Okay.
Because I think that'll be really cool to see, and also useful for Dennis and myself and everyone else if they want to have an opinion. And I'll get to learn a little more about Figma, which we'll see if I actually do, but in theory that would be nice. And then also the other thing about the Figma file is that I'm thinking that we could post the URL, and then that would be something if someone wanted to drop like inspiration or do their own version of something, then the Figma would be available for that.
Okay.
Which sounded cool.
I can do that now.
So I think I sent you a Dropbox folder, right? Were you able to get in there?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then does that have a file in it with a bunch of junk, with like a bunch of stuff?
fonts, I think. Hold on.
Oh yeah, there's a font folder, and then hopefully there's like an Illustrator folder. But
Can people hear your audio on Twitch?
I hope so.
Yeah, they can. I muted your Twitch. I just have it like screen right there.
Cool. Okay.
I would feel silly.
Cool.
I got this right, it's post.
Yeah. And then for context, Ben is an OG vector manipulator that only uses Illustrator. And I was giving him a hard time over the past few weeks about learning Figma. And then when we were kind of collaborating and screen sharing, I was kind of like annoyed by seeing his Illustrator screen on like Google Hangouts and crunchy low res. Whereas if you've ever did a multi-cursor thing in Figma, it's a lot nicer to see like vectors and stuff. So one day, but I think the idea of sharing a Figma with people watching is really cool because they just follow along, and yeah, even giving them edit access is pretty cool. They could then drop stuff in.
Yeah, it's funny. Conveniently, the Illustrator block provides me some authorship, where it's like if it doesn't make it into that file, as opposed to. I actually don't know. I mean, I haven't used Figma enough to know. Can someone just like straight up block you if they wanted to? Like, could you be a troll in a live?
You can give them
in a live
permission
feed?
or edit permission. So it depends. Yeah, if you give them edit permission, they basically have like root access.
Right. So like if I was drawing live on a Figma, then someone could just be a prick about it if they wanted to.
Yeah, that would be fun. See if we have that problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem worth having, for sure.
Are you gonna tweet the link? Or I could just tweet your Twitch. I guess I have your link.
Yeah, well, I do, and I just sort of try and ease into these things because there's usually a little bit of, I don't know. I just haven't quite figured things out yet, and also the process of working into this seems to be part of my shtick at the moment.
Yeah.
For instance, I'm gonna go to Streamlabs right now. I'm gonna hide this one. So down here I have sources. This is where I can pick what's gonna show up on my screen. So for instance, here's me. Oh, the chat isn't working. Oh, maybe it is actually. I wouldn't see it here necessarily. I'm gonna hide myself. Yeah, okay, cool. So I just hid myself by toggling the video capture device, which is my camera. And then I'm going to add a new image. No, that's not what I want. Sorry. Try again. Add a new, that's weird. I have to toggle to choose a new image, even though I had chosen new image. We'll get there. Projects, Twitch, PNG. Done. Okay, cool. So now...
Did you watch AOC playing Among Us last night?
No. Did you?
A little bit. There was a long setup process in the beginning.
Oh, is that she was playing Among Us? I get it. I didn't actually catch that part. She had just been on Twitch. I think I had answered that when you first said that. I was thinking that I knew what you were talking about, but now I'm realizing I didn't. That's cool.
Yeah.
How funny.
It was pretty amazing, and it hit like 500,000 concurrent views. It was pretty crazy.
Which I think is part of why I maybe slipped up there. Weren't the Twitch numbers somewhat similar? Wasn't it like 400 something concurrent or something like that? For AOC on the on the like whatever it was last week or the night before. I think it was, I'm not sure.
550,000, which I think is pretty high.
Okay, so I'm touching my AirPods. I hope I don't take over. All right, so we've checked in with Jamie. I think Jamie, you've got some direction. Hello, Dennis. I've got the latest mirror work open. I guess now I'll tweet it.
I tweeted it.
Oh, did you? Maybe I'll just redo yours.
Oh, only 1 like from Jacob Horn. 2 likes. Nice.
It's all right, man. All right, that'll work for now. I mean, in theory, we'll be doing this for a while, so. Actually, we haven't talked about that. I don't know how long. So far, I think I've done 3. It's been something like an hour, just shy of 2 hours twice, and then one of them was like 2:30 or something like that. It's fairly late. I'm an old man now. I'll probably last around the same. But we have a bunch of stuff to look at and to go over already, so it'll be cool. My intention. Oh, I just sort of spoke over you. Does anyone have any thoughts on time? I assume not, but.
No, I mean, I'm here for it. Let's see what happens. It's it's an experiment. We don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything.
Jamie, you're cool. I am cool. What's that from? Are you cool? I am cool. Okay, so here's my intention. I've got this document set up where all of these white rectangles that you're seeing are artboards in Illustrator, and in theory, these are all pages of a PDF that I would be exporting to send you. This is how a lot of these things start, and I've begun the basics, as you can see, and then there's just a lot to fill in. So I have a little, like a tiny bit of narrative here, which was just, so on your Twitter account, on your Twitter story that you've been, your Twitter thread, on your Twitter thread that you've been maintaining around about our branding process, I think you're one round behind or some such.
Yep.
So we haven't shown any of the pattern work, which is fine. It'll be, I'll just start to pull it up. We started to talk about, or I saw an image, or started pushing this idea of, I mean, it comes from previous work too. There's like prior art here, but generally the idea of trying to go hard or heavy on this notion of the null space or the empty space, like the blank canvas. But the blank canvas in a digital context is fairly specific. Like it has aesthetic references that we could potentially tap into that are both default and branded, if we can pull it off. So that's where we were before, and I put some work into this. Actually, let me just pull up the PDF real quick, and I'll just like flip through it very quickly just to kind of set maybe a better. I think this is
it. It's funny. In the tweet threads, like the product is still not articulated, so it's like stealth to the audience. So I think there's going to be some interesting leaks.
Well,
as we talk about this and look at things, and I think I already saw some copy that reveals more than has been, but I think that's cool and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, okay, cool. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. Yeah, we'll see. I'll follow your lead, maybe.
No, you lead and I'll interject.
Well, as far as like discussing company strategy or who knows what, I'll try.
I think it's interesting. I mean, we talked about this. Like, I think in 2020 there's an opportunity to build in public. Like, I think also inspired by you streaming. Like, people like to watch Ninja kill it in Fortnite, and like just watching his skills and him performing. Like, why wouldn't people watch the best designer or a really good designer design logos and stuff? And it's probably a more rewarding and interesting experience to learn from. And it made me think of when you're building a company or a project, you have all these assets internally that you're not showing to anyone, and there's a huge opportunity, whether it's attracting users or even like recruiting, basically getting smart people excited about what you're building. It's like showing, like the analogy is like a restaurant with a glass door where you can see how the food's being prepared. And, the idea is like, or like a sushi restaurant where you're sitting at the bar and the chef is making the food in front of you. Like being part of the process will psychologically make the food taste better. Like will users trust the brand more, be more interested in the product if they're kind of involved with what's happening behind the scenes. So, in my mind, that's the experiment and why this is cool.
That's cool. Yeah. I think we have, of course, we've talked about it. You have some new language, which I was into. I don't know why my phone keeps dying in the sense of I can't keep the chat open. Hold on. I wonder if it's because my battery is low. Strange though, I didn't have this issue last time. That's alright, maybe I need to focus more at the moment anyway. Alright, so I feel bad jumping over to video on you guys too. It's weird, I should have figured out Zoom beforehand, I suppose, because I think you said that there was floating windows for that. That would have been preferable.
We'll figure it out. It's MVP. We're constructing the rocket as it's taking off. But yeah, let's do it.
So we just talked about this digital null space, empty canvas. What's the crypto writer's equivalent? Creator's equivalent. Where'd I go here? That was weird. Preview just oh, didn't you say this forced this PDF shut preview down on you? But yeah, that's right. All right, I think
one of the old ones is crashing preview.
That's funny, yeah. All right, so it's crashing my preview too. All right, well, it's probably because I got a lot of lines on this. Is this the right? That's okay. It's all the same stuff. It's just not going to look quite as nice. Right. So just pull it. This is the type of thing we're talking about where can we develop a mark which is just more of like a color of paint or a wallpaper than it is an object or a mark. And I think the implications of that would be, to the effect of this is not about us, it's about what you can do with it. And it would also be, I think, maybe an interesting statement of both like open frontier, canvas, and your position in the hierarchy, or as you're, it's like we're trying to step behind. We're really trying to lift your content on top of whatever it is that we can provide for you from like a technical perspective. So that's the idea. Whether or not we can actually pull it off is another question. Because, a logo does have, an identity does have, things that it needs to be successful at. So yeah, we can break rules, but I'm not quite sure. So these were, the one on the right, I think was one that stood out for you, which I like as well. It gets interesting, like if you're doing a pattern, where does it end? I always think about that with songs. Like if I was a musician and you got this great song, how often is the ending part of the song? It seems like probably not very often, in which case they always have to figure out a way to like, am I going to fade it out? Am I going to do like a jarring ending? Am I going to do, like, that sounds like the crappiest part of the process. All right. So,
yeah, I think my feedback last time was like, can it work both as a pattern but still be kind of striking as, like, if you make it a Twitter avatar, for example. And yeah, we kind of went back and forth on, although it is distinct and unique, does it just stand out in like a feed of people's stuff?
Yeah, and I think my argument continues to be, it does if we can see that it does. In theory, I don't see why it wouldn't. Partly just because everyone else is doing something else. It's what I mentioned. I hate to bring up the Maverick anecdote, but it's like it describes the situation fairly accurately. Where if actually I should pull up the Figma. Do I still? Oops. Jamie, are you working on that?
Yes.
I wonder if... Oh, she probably hasn't... I doubt she's seen any of this stuff, though. Cool.
I have the AI file for, like, everything.
Yeah. I was just wondering if I'm just starting to. I'm always like, I don't know, fairly clumsy on these streams yet. There's a level of embarrassment when things don't quite come together as quickly as you'd like. And as I'm struggling to get this pattern to do what I want it to do, I'm realizing you may have already done it. But I don't think that actually happened. So I'm coming back. I'm going to hack it real quick. Like this. The reason this was weird is because in this case what I did was, this isn't actually a circle mask, it's like a rectangle with a circle lumped on top. So there was nothing to grab, and I didn't realize that until a few moments ago. Alright, so this is pretty shoddy, but I don't know. In theory, this doesn't seem any less identifiable to me. Like, this is a pretty poor example, and I would say something like this doesn't seem any less identifiable to me as most. I mean, it's not like every startup, tech, fintech, mark, even if it's trying to be forward and strong and identifiable, to some degree, we're sort of swimming in them. So stepping back from that to at least some degree seems like a tactic that could be.
Yeah. I think conceptually it makes sense, but then I think we still have the reality of.
Yeah.
Everyone's screaming loud, and we might be the the quiet intellectual in the corner that if you come up to them and talk to them, they're going to blow your mind, but no one just does, because that's not that's not kind of the norm. But I think, if it could work.
So I keep wanting to break. To be honest, I keep trying to. This is way too fashion. But I keep leaning towards like some sort of. You'll see some later, but like quasi serifs or like I don't know. I don't necessarily have the language, to be honest. But it seems like there's sort of like a faux script typeface style that you can like that. I showed you that one that was really weird. Actually, that might be. That was in the last round. No, actually, that's coming up here in a second. Like, there's a genre of font which is just sort of non-determinate, which I think might be appropriate here. And if we can find something, which is always kind of the case, I just don't necessarily. It's weird. Like if when I go full, I think part of what you can help me with is I think you've seen a style that you like that I haven't hit quite yet. But in the meantime, I keep trying to pull it into almost like this quasi serif direction. Anyway, this is pretty cool. This gets into more of a network vibe. I think part of what a lot of these things are trying to show is the node and the edge at the same time. So you've got, like, in theory, what this would represent would be, got a lot of poor centering and stuff here, would be the individual who's resonating along their own, wave, but then they've also got something like an edge grid connecting between them in the diamond grid pattern. So if you abstract that a little bit into geometry, you get some pretty cool stuff. This feels like slightly Victorian, like it's almost like, I don't know, original typewriter vibes or something. This feels like a gilded pattern you might find on iron
reminds me of like, what are those when you do like an offset print, you have like kind of calibration marks, or how they, when you have like the CMYK plates or whatever, you have to calibrate them to go
Humanist
perfectly on top of each other.
Internet Renaissance, Optima. Optima's, I get made fun of for using Optima, but I was looking at comments here, sorry. Semi-mono serif thing, yeah, for sure. Semi-mono, yeah, we've got a bunch of monos. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, John. You're in here, that's cool. Internet Renaissance vibes. Yeah, that's true. That's cool. I like that. Um, Renaissance. I've got that going. I've got that kind of vibe going with another conversation I'm having with a client, and that's like very interesting. Um, yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then this one to me just feels very solid. It's of course like very off-white Virgil Abloh, but I'm okay with that. This just
Mhm.
it has a lot of innate dynamicism to it to me. It's just like it's just very easy and very attractive, and it feels like a lot of what we've discussed. Here's that, and that might be it from that round, or most of it. Okay, so
Yeah, that's good. That's cool.
all right, so I think since then, um, okay, so that's what this meant. So last time we looked at stuff like this. um, I wonder if everyone in the chat. Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say it might be worth linking to the previous your Twitter stuff because it's whatever. It's fine. Okay, so last time we looked at this, and then we looked at that, and then since then, generally we're still kind of into the Arch thing, or you and the team are still generally into the Arch team. I'm not quite sure how I feel, but you asked for
Mhm.
this. I forgot to give it to you. Sorry about that. But like I still I think of the available marks that we have, I would guess that if you had to run with one right now, you would go with not necessarily this version, but one of these Arch guys, so Arch boys,
Yeah,
which is cool.
yeah. I
So
mean, I can talk about why I still like it. Yeah, we started with the blue arch. That one I did tweet about. It was kind of, it's kind of like a heavy stroke, kind of this classic shape. Um, just super minimal. You can print it. You can display it on a screen. Like if there was like an IPO at the stock exchange, it would look great. But then I thought it was really cool when you did the kind of embossed, gold or gold silver kind of mirrored look. Um, it kind of gave it like a Nintendo, like Mario vibe, like a badge or power up, or in Mario Kart, like when you get an achievement or something.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Yeah, I think and what felt cool about it is that like we could have different variations in different places. Like it could never get old trying to experiment, kind of rendering these differently. John and I were talking about like in 3D rendering software, you can like install all these different textures, like a marble texture, sandstone texture, and kind of just like keep playing with rendering them. Like Ben, the way you update your Twitter avatar, I feel like it always catches the eye that there's some guy who has this like particular aesthetic of like changing their avatar. That always feels like it stands out. Yeah, and like the other thing is we were talking about like what's different in 2020 about people's devices and screens, and we were saying how like basically retina displays are mainstream, like super high DPI displays, and I was saying like the mainstream incarnation of that is like the stripe identity with that crazy rainbow gradient.
Mm-hmm.
Like 15 years ago you wouldn't use that imagery because screens weren't high fidelity enough to make that look good. So anyway, this kind of embossed look makes it feel, you also wouldn't, like, we're not designing for print, we're designing for screen. Like it doesn't have to, we're not thinking about whatever screen print or printing in a book or printing on paper. Like we can leverage kind of a screen aesthetic, which to me, this kind of embossed vibe feels like.
Yeah. You're speaking my language. I'm into it. The I like what you're saying about the patterning. It's going to be funny to associate yourself with death, but I think it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, and then the gravestone thing. It's like this kind of morbid joke that mirrors about this eternal kind of positive thing, but then there's obviously like the memento mori, like if you're trying to be a creator, you die at some point. Does your work live on? Is it like, do people visit your, Jim Morrison's gravesite or whatever? I think there's some humor in that too.
well, I think I think that it just might, after a while, let's just say, for instance, that you're doing a texture in Blender or whatever. That's like a rotating. What do we call the shape anyway? Because we call it the arch. Um, and
Tombstone.
it just turns out to be like this really beautiful marble, and it just really looks like a gravestone, and it just becomes very morbid. I guess what I'm wondering is it seems as though you're going to either. It just doesn't seem like you can be vague about it for all that long. Like it either needs to be
Yeah.
part of the joke or it needs to not be, and you'll want to know at some point, maybe. I don't know if you just get it for
Yeah.
free or not because it's too specific. It's like, oof. Because
Yeah, I think
I mean,
it's
and maybe there's a way to always make the thing on it look like a reflection, regardless. Like maybe there's always a shine on it,
yeah.
which would, I don't know, but it's
But
tricky.
it's also kind of funny that it is like the grave something like I feel like for an early brand, early company, like if you can't be playful in the beginning, you know, you're never going to be weird and playful. Yeah, and then it's funny. Someone in the comments said it's the Dharma logo, and it's funny. Yeah, like we only saw it after we started experimenting with it, and well, I think the Dharma, what they're doing is very different. They're doing kind of the window portal thing. And it's kind of just a totally different concept. Like this mirror is more of an object. It's like something it's like a token you have in your pocket. It's a badge. It's a pin. It's like a personal object, not like a gateway metaphor. So I think it's totally different. I think obviously Dharma's product is completely different, and I think not a lot of people use Dharma. No one uses mirror yet. I think it's too early. I think it's silly to be discouraged by like companies that are as old as you having similar imagery, and I think we're just totally different, and I think that shouldn't turn us off from using it if we like it a lot.
Word. Yeah, I don't. I have a hard time worrying about that kind of stuff. Generally, it's just like companies come and go. Yeah. I'm not even gonna get into it. I like your response. I'm gonna leave it at that. So I'm just starting to cherry pick stuff from this work. I mean, I just close this. Don't need to save you. Some of this was already starting to. Some of this is starting to look like what we. Where was that guy? This one. I'll paste this.
Yeah, I really like this. I think at the end there was like different. Oh yeah, you basically. They had one where it was tons of lines and tons of nesting. That was really cool.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is the one that that caught me too. I think we could do a bit of the same. They've even got the multi-line with a bevel, which is neat. The lighting, it's very classic too. Nested mirrors, yeah. Why not do an isometric circle? Like an oval, yeah. Like with depth or something. I think we've got some of those. Generally, circles seems. I mean, you'll see a bunch of circles. So yes, I agree. And then also, as you can imagine.
100%.
What's up? What's up, Dennis?
Oh, someone was saying Borges and Library of Babel, and it's a short story, right? Where I mean, it's like the work is cited as like a literary example of like hypertext and like recursion about this like infinite library where you like open doors and there's like further and further nesting and stuff. Khalil corrects me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever read House of Leaves?
What's that?
It's a book. Like a horror book.
What was it called?
horror. I'm sorry. House of Leaves. It's one of those books like
Yeah.
once you read it, you'll start seeing it mentioned. And start seeing it mentioned. It's kind of has a bit of like a cult following. I don't read horror. I don't really watch horror either. But it's the premise of the book is I'll just mention how it starts is a family moves into a new home, and I think the dad or the mom is surveying the house to start like moving stuff in, and they notice that the one of the rooms is an inch larger on the inside than it is on the outside. And over time the disparity starts to both increase in size and speed until I think one day a door shows up, and then I won't say anything more than that. I'll just say it's like, yeah, well, okay, I'll leave it at that. And the book itself is printed in a way where the words sort of like spiral around and move around the page and do a bunch of stuff. So Dennis, and Jamie too, actually, just for what it's worth, Jamie, if you feel like ever shouting stuff out. Dennis, the part of the reason I wanted to do this with you, this process of looking at the big canvas of stuff and pulling stuff out, is because there's enough here that's sort of like half-baked that it's just sometimes people see stuff that I wouldn't have necessarily pulled into a final document.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought you might enjoy or see stuff, enjoy the process and or just see stuff that I might not have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. But I've got a bunch. I think I skipped a little bit on the intro, which was just to say the work that I've been doing now since that last round was to explore more on the mirror silhouette, obviously, as you've seen. Just because even though I don't feel quite as convinced as you do, this is your company, and I want to, as I've said, I give a lot of credence and credit to the founder's opinion, and I feel like it's just sort of like if you have a strong instinct, then I need to listen to that. So putting a bunch of work into that, and then also I'm hoping that maybe trying to draw it into and or still follow the pursuit of the null pattern thing, the default pattern, because I still really like that, and I think maybe they can go together, and or it can work on its own, or this one will work out and that'll be cool too. So that's most of what I have, and then I sort of deviated a bit too to pursue, like, we had the little Tetris pattern guy that we both liked, not Tetris, sorry, the Tinker Toy guy, Tinker Toy Boy,
Mm-hmm.
Tinker Boy. I'm not gonna keep doing boy things. I just won't. I'm gonna try not to. And I wanted to maybe give him some more attention. So you got these, and then that, and then these get kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it's just like, it's some kind of like out of focus, like depth optical illusion. It's pretty cool. Can you zoom out?
I zoom out how far?
20%.
I just don't know what you're trying. Are you trying to see this local group, or are you trying to? Hold on, that's why we're doing this though. I'm gonna start. This one's. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's funny how appropriate this geometry is for like the crypto space in general. It's like. What would an
isometric arch look like? Like third dimension instead of flat. Is that what that means? XYZ.
I would think so. Was there an isometric arch version? To me, an isometric. Yeah, I mean, it would be like, it would be looking down. It would have like 2-point perspective, I guess, or something like that. Like this, I think this is isometric. But then you would probably, with a mirror, you would just give one of the dimensions. It just would be really thin.
Foam had some nice animations when they launched their brand.
What's up? Who did?
Yeah, those are cool. Yeah, interesting. And then to you, yeah, I mean, it seems less literal mirror, but that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
A100. What, Josh, what are you talking about? Do I see how that's just a line? Do I see how that's just a line? I don't know if we're actually talking about the same thing.
Ben, what is the fastest way to host an image and link it to the chat?
Put it in the Figma. In which case,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know what I should have on
Can
this.
Can you post the link? Or Jamie, can you post the link to the Figma and just make it editable by anyone?
Yeah.
I should have like a tiny URL as part of the little banner on the top to take you to the Figma. That didn't work at all. Why didn't that work at all? That was weird.
I'm taking some things from the Illustrator and just playing in Figma also, if
Yeah.
you see anything.
I will check in on that.
Kind
was-
of listening, kind of not, just playing.
Yeah, it's party in the Figma. Yeah, Ben, check out my friend. I was talking about it, and he sent me some random stuff, but I think what he sent me is actually what Alan's talking about.
Was that the stuff from before? From like a few weeks ago, or did you pay something just now, or?
I just pasted something into Figma, and I don't think I sent it to you. My friend does design logos, and we were just talking about it. He just sent me some random stuff real quick.
Cool.
But I think it's.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this gets pretty weird. Like, this kind of stuff gets pretty weird, and also, if it was attractive, then that would be extremely cool and fun. I don't know I don't know what I would do to these. They don't resolve very well. Like, this doesn't look especially. I like how simple this one is. Like, this one feels like a little much, maybe, but this one also doesn't feel extensible in the same way that the Tinker Toy concept should. I also just don't know. Like, it's just like a rectangle that should end in like a. I don't know. That's what. Jenny's been saying everything needs like a soft landing, so that's where this kind of like dot at the end of it comes in instead of just like a hard rectangle, sharp edge there. This is a totally different thing. We always have the availability of identity as a core concept or a core theme of this. So this idea of like two shapes that reflect off of each other is cool. One nested in the other. Which one is like, is it my real identity that's the hard sharp one, or is it my online identity that's more hazy, or vice versa? I think those are fun questions or interesting angles to take it. This kind of has like an eclipse thing going.
Eclipse, and then we were always saying it's a face looking at its reflection.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This just looks cool. Here's the combo of the stripe with the arch. I don't think I've actually shown that yet. So in theory, the thing about it is that it's a little bit redundant. It's like mirror texture on top of mirror silhouette. So I don't know if you really need both, but I might be overthinking it.
It reminds me of like a train semaphore, like, you know, a train conductor notice that you're entering a tunnel or something.
Oh yeah, sure. I wonder if that exists or if it just really looks like something.
It looks cool.
Because I definitely.
I think the fun thing about settling on a simple shape or outline is like there's so much room to play with variations, like tasteful variations, where, you know, like if you keep the stroke, it's like consistent, but then you can go crazy with how it's rendered. But I also think, one thing we were also saying was if it's a stroke, it's a window or portal, gateway, and then that's like more Dharma vibe, and not that we care, but mirror as object and the kind of the filled arch, that feels unique, and it's kind of like a tool. It's like your personal. It's like a private space. It's a tool in your pocket. It's like your Swiss Army knife, or like Flintstone.
Yeah, I'm with it. The thing you're making me think about is, well, you're talking. It's like we have all of these. It's odd. Like it's an odd. It's not odd. It's just one of the facets here where mirror does have the shape and the term have a lot of references that both play into the product and don't have to. It's like it's kind of like a smorgasbord, but we don't. But the thing is, like, this may be what I was referencing a bit too when I was talking about death, where it's like, just because we have a lot of options doesn't mean we want to be sloppy about it. Like, if it's a buffet, I don't want to load up the plate. I mean, I do, because I'm that kind of guy. But because I'm trying to design this thing for you, I feel like I need to make, something elegant from all of these available things. And so it's sort of like, is it elegant is almost the question. As much as, like, if we're going to refer, like, for instance, if this is the logo or something close to it, someone looking at it isn't necessarily going to know what we meant when as they're looking at it. Like, they're not. There seems to be an argument for they might be left somewhat vague, where it's like, are they talking about, do they want me to think about death? Do they want me to think about stepping through an archway? Do they want me to think about reflective surface mirror? And if all of those tie together in an interesting way, then I think you really hit on something. It's like, oh wow, and it's all three. That's dope. Or like, instinctively, ideally, they wouldn't even have to process it. Would just hit them. But if it's all three and they don't quite know, I just don't know if that's good, or it might be. I'm just not sure. It doesn't feel like the normal process of really knowing what it is, knowing what you stand for, how it's supposed to make someone feel, that kind of stuff.
Well, do you think a brand and a mark acquires meaning from the product, its users? You know what I mean? It's like, whatever, take all the let's like, well, who are the two famous designers we were talking about before, and I'm like embarrassingly blanking on all names.
The logo
IBM,
designers, Brand and Bass, Paul Rand and Saul Bass.
Yeah, Saul Bass. Yeah. Like, if those companies, if you didn't know the history of those companies, would those marks stand on their own with completely zero context? You know what I mean? Does the mirror mark acquire meaning after there's like the first 10 users doing cool shit, people seeing that publicly, people seeing how it's being used as a product? You know what I mean? Like, we were having a similar discussion about, like, we're doing this positioning exercise with John Palmer, and we have like a long document where we're literally describing like who this is for, like what kind of people are using it, like what problems they have, like very kind of literal, verbose kind of description of the product. And I think, like, you can't put copy like that on like the marketing page, because like a really cool product, basically it tells you something vague, and then you read the vague thing, plus you see how the first 10 people are using it, and then like you complete the picture on your own. Like, you could never write 3 paragraphs saying that, you know what I mean? It would just kind of come off. It wouldn't come off the same way as you would understand it from experiencing the product, and then having a sense of it. You know what I mean? And like, I'm curious if like it's the same thing with the logo.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Right. I mean, to some degree, I think you're talking about like an accessible undercurrent of feeling that the mark will hit through their early experience with the product and with like seeing it for the first time wherever that is in their feed or on it's actually the actual Mirror website or reading someone's post or what have you, and that doesn't necessarily relate to any kind of reasoning process or logical thinking that they might be applying to the mark. Will the user will imbue the mark with it meaning that depends on the context in which they're experiencing it. Yeah, man. Like, if I'm summarizing that correctly, I think that's completely correct. I think what we're discussing is it the right feeling? Like, is it yeah, of course. Like, we're trying to identify a feeling, and then we want to communicate it as clearly as possible so that we are successful in that communication. So, yeah, well, they'll imbue it, and it's like a back and forth. Like, we'll be telling them things, and they'll be reading things into it. So, like, if we had a banana for a logo, they're definitely going to imbue a lot of meaning into it as they experience the product. And there's going to be a lot of cool people on this platform, and the content's going to be really cool. So the banana is going to get really cool really quickly, but it's still going to be a banana, and that's just part of it, you know. Right. So, like, none of the Saul Bass logos, like the icons that they're referencing, like when you look at like a Pan Am logo or Quaker Oats, they're using symbols to great effect. And the symbols that we're using right now are coming through very clearly, and they're tangential to each other, not necessarily leading to any one place or another. So we just have to, it's just like an ongoing conversation. It's like, yeah, this is like a really strong set of symbols that we're dipping into. I don't know. And do we care that much or not? The idea on this one was, it's the same stripe thing, but I thought it would be cool to have, or fun to have, I've used the word fun twice now. I don't want to be that guy. Border just around the edge of whatever the medium is. So I don't know what medium this would be. This would be a sticker, I guess. I don't know what would be the rectangle, but this would be like an avatar. So it would be just like an empty space with the striping didn't work out. Obviously, it's too thick and or spaced out or something. But you get the idea. Defining the border, the idea would be to define the space as opposed to fill the space, I think, is what that one would be trying to do. Kind of like cool guy, cool boy, mirror mystery vibes here.
The company, we're gradually revealing functionality and what the product is, but it's still a mystery. Yeah, that looks cool.
What was I gonna say? Oh, one of the so for instance, like, not to dwell on the conversation, but why wouldn't I? This is the conversation. Like, for instance, one of the things that I think we had just started talking about it, and I was on this mark in particular. Where's the cooler one of that? Did I not bring it over? That's weird. Hold on, 1 second. I'm about to make a point, I promise. So I actually could just draw this. So my point was simply, since mirror, like for instance, mirror has so many ambiguous potential meanings. One of the things I like about this particular, there's a few versions of this direction, but it's just it's the reflection of a person within a space, and there's two of them. So you see the mirror shape and you see a head shape within it, sort of. The person being reflected within this red is blurry, so you don't quite know who it is, or it's slightly mysterious. But all that to say, if the mirroring wasn't mirroring, but was in fact. Yes. What is the? What am I referencing right now by accident? Like, what if General Custer didn't die or whatever? No, but like, what if you did a mirror that really looks like a setup for someone standing in front of a mirror, but instead of reflecting their true self, it reflected the self that they wanted it to be, which I think is part of what we're representing with this platform or with this product, which is like you can now create your own self with confidence. And so maybe mirror isn't just the simple one-to-one, it's the one to aspirational. Like what is the mirror version of me that I have total control over? So that this is just the symbolic version of what I just said. Which is cool.
What's interesting? Well, then there's like the vanity one, like right? It's what we talked about before. Was it Narcissus looking at his reflection in the water, right? And it's kind of like, well, then it's like you want to be what like society wants you to be, not what like the true what your true self is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then like, what would be the kind of more like your ideal self, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that kind of gets into like self-optimization or something, or you know what I mean? Like being the best you, you know, who you aspire to be, as opposed to like what society wants to be. I don't know, that abstract, but I get what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, I forgot to mention this. The hacker hexagon sticker. Yeah. I think I mentioned that in the tweet storm. But yeah, there's just something with the hexagon. It's just kind of cursive. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah, those are cool.
I like these as I like this one as a kind of a simple version of the conversation we're having. I don't know about the colors or anything necessarily, but basically just like mirror. So because of the name mirror, we get identity for free potentially, which is why I brought this up again, which is just to say there is the potential for using mirror in an unambiguous way. We don't have, like with the gravestone and the arch and such, like again, I'm not saying that's hopeless or anything. I'm just saying that it is ambiguous, and I have problems with that currently. Although I get your point too, that will feed into it. But with something like this, or the, you know, whatever, there's clever, interesting things to be said about identity or the potential for this space. So I like this one just as like graphically it's interesting, but then to some degree, because of the name mirror underneath it, to me what this starts to say is it's not all of me, or it's like a segment, or it's like under my control. Like the circle becomes self, and then the squared off part of the circle becomes what I'm mirroring, essentially, or maybe vice versa. But I don't know if this is necessarily doing all of that work, but I like the angle. It might be too identity heavy for what you're doing. You know, it's hard to know which part of, like, it's so multifaceted, it's like hard to know which part to lean into sometimes, but
yeah, I mean,
this
is kind interesting. It's cool.
This is kind of the same thing, but like not necessarily. I don't know. Maybe it's just not trying to be as simple or as easy as half and half. What was I doing here? Oh yeah, this was just like self behind the things that it makes, and then it became a little face, became a little guy, which cool. I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah.
It became super. What's that style? It's like a factory cafe from like the early mid 90s or something like that. I'm sure there's like an arena channel for it. It's definitely got that 90s post Memphis
yeah,
like a little bit.
It's cool. It's a little kind of deranged.
Yeah, nice. The
one on the very right one looks kind of like Internet Explorer. It's for some reason like the E in Internet Explorer.
The very right one.
Yeah, these are cool. Yeah, the one right below. Yeah, but The one where it's semicircle.
Sorry.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Sorry.
Talking about the face.
Oh, the
Yeah,
ones
these are all. I mean, I think these are all like striking and strong. Cool.
Yeah, just more.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like, it's like a brain thought projection or like idea projection.
Yeah, which one is the? Yeah, just more like which one is the true self? Sunrise, sunset. Who knows? I don't know if I'm not sure if the half moon shapes here are necessary. I like what they're doing. They don't seem to. I guess this is the two. I guess this is kind of like the arch shape, just reflected on top and bottom. But it would need quite a bit of work. Trying to think if I missed any big sections. Oh, I'll pull over the deranged guy. Oh yeah, there's one more at least. Let me grab. Was this the Internet Explorer one? Or I had it slightly different?
It was the the one on the right above. Yeah. I don't know why.
I like the optimism. Missing that from. Oh, this guy's pretty cute. Aw, little guy. These are kind of cool. I like having more than one facet to a mirror, like 3 or 4 or 5. It's like I contain multitudes type thing. What happens if I did? I'm not actually sure how I made these, to be honest. What if I did?
Looks like a traffic light, or like a early film. What do you call it? Like spotlight. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Right. It's the like those not the fins. You can open and close them to.
Yeah, like the.
Why can't I think of the name? Oh yeah, this is the one.
It's like a shade kind of vibe, but it also the Fresnel lens we talked about, Fresnel.
Factory Pomo, yes. Thank you, Cap. I feel bad that I don't have comments open this time. Total fail on my phone. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna open it up again. Shout out to Stack Judmers. Yeah, the big brain move is to do an M.
Yeah, how long do you take on each concept? That's a good process question.
But how long do you take on each concept, or does it all kind of blur together? How long do I take on each concept? Let's see if my phone stays open this time. Well, concept is kind of a nebulous term in and of itself, and then the amount of time I spend on it would be a combination of both client reaction, my gut on it, and just how much potential it has. Like, if it winds up hitting a sweet spot of my ability to render it, like, can I execute this in a way that is fun for me, or like easy for me? Like, all of this repetition stuff is really interesting for me, partly because I enjoy repetition, and because Illustrator is really good at helping me repeat things. So for instance, when you look at like this is not a series of lines for me, it's just two shapes, and then I have it set so that Illustrator is filling in all the space in between. And I could mess with this and like, do stuff like that. This is called a blend, where I'm blending one line to another, and I can fuck around, and it's highly satisfying. So all that to say, if it's something that I can execute, and the client kind of likes the direction, and it's got high concept potential, or like it's just really interesting, I'll mess with stuff for weeks. But if it's like easy to render and it doesn't go very far, then I can sketch really quickly and I'm done in a matter of a couple minutes. Yeah. So, this was the last one, I think. Not last, just last one I'm showing. To come all the way back around to the pattern that you like specifically, and I like it too. It just feels like maybe if we figured out a way to make these gracefully attached by edges or something. It just doesn't like. It's just I didn't quite know what to do with it. I guess
the gray dots were reflections or something.
The what for reflections?
Sorry, not reflections. Shadows. The gray dots were like shadows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's a light source above, and like this made me think of like there could be some cool like cursor responsiveness. Like maybe the light sources it like moves slightly or something, and then maybe you could like if you drag your mouse through it, it like connects the dots or something, and then it like fades out or something. I don't know. Like
yeah.
Good fun.
Well, I would love to. Yeah, I mean, marks and identities that have built-in animation ideas are bomb. I'd love to deliver that for you. I just didn't not quite know what to do with this until I was thinking that each of the nodes sort of looks like. I mean, we talked about this via text, but it sort of looks like an identity in and of itself. Like each dot as a user, essentially, and then each user has its own ownership or its own like dominion, but they're all connected together as well. In which case, this is the kind of thing where it could be interactive. Like you could zoom in on each dot, and like this whole screen could become black, and it's like, oh, now I'm in someone's profile, and then you zoom back out, and it becomes something like a block explorer or like a user explorer or like a content whatever. So it gets interesting from that perspective. I'm sorry, but you have to see it now anyway. But I thought it might be interesting to try it as a set of cubes, just because it's more thematically appropriate. And it got kind of cool right around here, where it gets into like the dual identity thing. This is what I meant about. I already forgot the term. Someone told me it's not faux. I forget the typeface. Someone had told me what these typefaces like that. This is just a serif, I suppose. This is like a brush serif or something. Anyway, I don't think you're going to get into the style, but generally this has like a, I don't know, it's kind of got like a cool thing to it, and then it could be applied into its own pattern. There's some stuff like this, which is interesting. I just like to me, this is at least very clear. Like it's, what happened? Did we lose Jamie or something?
I think that looks cool. Yeah, and even that, that like kind of liquid blending, there's something cool there. And I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I feel like that gets away from the cursed hacker laptop sticker.
What's up, Jamie? Where is the It's funny how often I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, it's right there. Boo. Please don't mess these up, things. Nice. You should do one, Jamie. You should duplicate them and have one that people can mess up. Maybe.
I have another page.
You have another where?
If you click social templates, there's a page called Mirror.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. What? Who's doing all this?
Me. Plain.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know what you call this effect. It always makes me think of, I don't know if you're a Tool fan at all, Maynard, what's his name? But he has that sideband, the perfect circle, and they have a logo, which is
QOW. I haven't seen that video, but we've been talking a lot about like generative just algorithmically kind of generated graphics or logos? Like, can you come up with a pattern or set of rules to generate different logos, but based on some heuristics, and it kind of gives it both a machine aesthetic, but kind of still makes it unique,
Can I not copy and
Yeah,
paste it?
parametric.
I don't know what I was just gonna say. I mean, all that sounded cool, but it wasn't what I was talking about. Which was I was gonna start talking about this effect, which is like when you only show the shadow.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on with your train of thought.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna. My only thought was that if we're going to go it just seems like it seems pretty strong in terms of potential for rendering and like being like a strong iconic mark. If you wind up wanting to go that route, like here's a cool one where it's like super 3D, very simple in terms of how it's created, and just kind of gimmicky in a cool way. I think these stroke widths are a little thin, but I had just meant to highlight this style as like this is I don't know what you call this. It's just a cool rendering style. I can't do that. I don't ever do generative stuff because I don't know how. Like I know HTML and CSS and like a tiny bit of JavaScript. I don't know how to do, and I've just never taught myself. I've never played with like processing or anything. So, and I'm not working with a developer or a startup with a team where they have a developer that they're willing to put on an identity. Like they're too busy building an app or whatever. So generative stuff has always been a little bit beyond me. I usually find it mildly corny, but that might just be me feeling defensive about my inability to do it. I could see that coming. I could see that being true. Oh, I meant to mention my mirror is kind of interesting. I like MI mirror. I looked it up as a Twitter handle, but it's taken. Like that and that are both taken. It's a little corny anyway, but it's interesting. My mirror.
Yeah, like me mirror. Yeah, I don't know.
Moon phase motif. What is moon? How do moon phases play in? Did I miss something in the chat? Oh, you were responding to someone talking about MIT Media Lab. That's cool. Slippage between forms is cool.
Yeah, Giancarlo, did you mean the hexagons kind of melding into each other?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just reading the chat here, sorry. Josh Kaplan says this is our logo. Yeah, man. Josh has perfect taste. 10 out of 10, so we should probably just listen to him. That's actually not a joke. Figma cannot do this.
I think it's cool.
Thank you,
it's
John.
Very strong and metallic. I don't know, there's something very kind of stainless steel surgical about that particular rendering of it, but I think it is strong.
All right, let me see. This AT&T thing isn't too bad either. Partly because it does remind me of AT&T in the sense, not necessarily them specifically, but that's weird.
Can you go back to the gold arch?
Hold on. I'm confused. Just want to solve it real quick. There we go. Hold on, let me just finish my thought, which was just to say I like this one because it feels both global and personal. I can't quite tell if this is supposed to be a head or a spinning globe or just a globe, and I think that's kind of cool. It needs some work yet, but again, as usual, I'm kind of overstating it. Golden, you want this guy?
Okay. I mean, yeah, it feels soft, right? Softer compared to the other ones. I mean, we could probably try different things, but I'm just trying to think like, what does something like this do that the other ones don't? And I think like just the warmth of it. I mean, it's again to me, it's like this like Nintendo vibe, you know, like the Mario, whatever Nintendo character universe, where it's this like totally different kind of playfulness, you know, not serious at all. That a lot of the other stuff is a lot more kind of stark, you know, kind of bold, more heavy, which makes the other stuff more authoritative. But we're missing out on kind of more playful, soft, personal vibes that this gold one has. I don't know if that resonates what I'm saying.
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say
I think
this doesn't
like,
feel
maybe
playful to
one
me.
thought is what categorically feels similar? Like, do a lot of these feel just kind of similar, and then are certain things super unique? Where basically do certain things unlock kind of a vibe that the rest don't, that you like, you know what I mean?
Do these all feel similar to each other in the effect they have? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like kind of being in kind of a really strong, really graphic. I mean, again, like the gold thing still feels very, you know, you both have like a kind of a robust, solid vibe, but it's also playful, fun, personal. Like it's kind of a joke or a game or, you know, experiment. It's you know, like a prototype you would take more risks with because you don't expect it to be that serious or a big deal, and kind of, you know, that kind of, you know, youthful vibe, capturing that youthful aesthetic kind of.
Are you describing this as something that you want?
But yeah, I mean, to me, like the thing about the gold, yeah, the bread loaf, is that's what's unique about it.
That's funny. I would. I sound a little spacey maybe because I'm not seeing this the same way that you are, and it's almost to some degree you're describing maybe of the ones here. This might be the one that has a lot of the like the least amount of some of the vibes you're describing to me. Like this one to me feels like it's taking itself the most seriously. Uh, so in terms like I don't to me this feels less. I'm not sure that I would have picked up on Mario Coin if you hadn't said it. Although it's like obvious now that you've said it. To me, this feels more like an ingot or a stone that I would find. Or to me, it feels very peaceful. It feels like something I want to touch. It feels very solid. Like maybe like unchanging. Like maybe mineral, elemental. Uh, all like I want to put my thumb on it, you know, like I want to rub it.
Yeah.
So none of those things to me feel youthful, experimental, risk-taking, adventurous. Like both of those lists are good lists of words to have for a brand, but they don't. To this mark particularly doesn't. If I could see it through your eyes, where it's like, oh, this is like a Mario coin, then
Yeah.
maybe I would. So
It's
maybe the
funny-
task then would be maybe we should try and do one of these that looks more like a Mario coin.
It's funny that the chat is just making fun of it and calling it bread. I love that. Maybe that's a good thing.
Nice. Change it. That's your new emoji, bread loaf. Yeah. So I'm gonna try.
What do you mean? Do you mean steel frame, like do a filled in steel frame one? I think that could be cool to try.
Do this with your steel frame effect. Cut off the bottom right corner. Yeah, man. Well, I think I have a metal one. I just didn't do it up as much. Oh, Josh. You're not kidding, dude. I'm gonna do this. we'll get a little extrusion going, and then I think I mean it's got the wrong. I might have to start over. I don't want to though. I'm going to. If I just give this a few ridges, it will get like some instant, undeniable video game vibes. Or playful vibe, like token vibe. Is it... Am I reading it right? Like, am I reading our difference of perspective on this correctly, do you think?
Well, I think everything you said I agree with, but then to me it's more of like it's like all of those things you said, but like experienced in a game.
Right. It's the symbol for the rock that you want to rub between your fingers. It's not the actual... It's not even the symbol, it's the game symbol. That's pretty deep, man. I gotta... And then I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a shadow. That didn't work. The ridges are too small. So right now I'm just messing with blend to try and get like the density of the lines correct, so that it's... I think it's too narrow too. I need to make these things deeper, I guess would be the term. Actually,
Jamie, actually in iOS 14.3 there will be a mirror emoji introduced.
Okay, that's funny. I started looking for it for reference and I couldn't find one.
If you like Google whatever the body that creates new emojis, there's like a
Google
tweet about it. And there's some like I don't know what we call it. It's like the IETF of emojis. What is it called? Emojipedia. New emojis coming to iOS in 2020. Dodo, nesting dolls, pinata, tamale, pinched fingers, boomerang, ninja, coin. Coin is nice.
Dodo's gonna be so useful for climate change and politics stuff. I bet that's why they're introducing it.
People hugging. That's a good one.
It sucks to draw a little bit on this stream, I gotta say. It's one of the things I'm noticing I have a hard time with, is drawing. I think probably because I'm insecure about it. Like, it's just not a thing I would ever claim to be able to do. And so that doesn't look like that didn't help at all. I think because I mean, if I had done this on an actual circle, I think it would have worked. It would have looked like the ridges of a quarter or whatever. I think because it's on a gravestone, it's just not computing as anything like that. It's just looking like a weird... It just looks weird.
Yeah. Or you can be looking...
Whatever.
The metal one... Do you know that in like video games there's this sound of like swords hitting each other?
Okay.
When I say that, it brings to mind a very distinct sound. It's like this 8-bit metal hitting metal sound.
Cool, yeah, I'm with it.
I don't know, just the metal arch brings that to mind.
Another thing that you're talking about this guy, or one like it. One thing that we could
that
talk
one, and then there was another one, and the
something that could be useful for us to talk about to help come to some kind of conclusion or decision. Not that that's the goal here. This isn't a pre-brand call. It's not like this is a sprint necessarily, but it could be useful to distinguish between your short-term and your long-term brand or your logo. What you are now is not what you will be later. Most companies will rebrand at some point as they scale. It's just sort of like these things get difficult because there can be tactical or strategic decisions around how you're launching that are very specific to that time that aren't necessarily related to where you hope to be. And so it 5 years from now. And so it can be hard to talk about this stuff because it's like, oh, I want to look like $1 billion global company, but I also am launching with like a niche group of, etc. So it can be part of what I've started doing with clients is just to remind them that they have the choice to unstress a little bit from the long term, because no one's going to be mad if they're a growing company that all of a sudden comes out with a new identity. They're gonna like this. That's just a new thing to feed the press machine. So it can it can just help narrow the mind a little bit towards what is going to help me the most in this moment with what I'm trying to accomplish over the next year or two. Like what are these people that I know really gonna like? Don't worry so much about where it's gonna go. And I think you're already doing that. I think I'm just kind of reminding myself a little bit too. I think you are the voice of that reality in this conversation, and I'm really like more abstract. So maybe part of what I'm doing is just guiding the public conversation in that direction as well.
Yeah, I think like we have liberty to get weird, be more weird, and kind of take risks and do something crazy. I think that's my take of it.
Well, that wasn't what I meant to imply. For what it's worth, I think that could be the result. That could be where you take it, and the fact that maybe that's where you took it is telling for us. But it could also mean that you're gonna launch with geriatrics and you're gonna grow. It's like a reverse Facebook, like you're gonna grow into the youth. In which case, it's gonna, I wouldn't take it as a given that because you're young and new that it should be more risk taking or loose. I just think it could be specific to whoever you're launching with, or like specific to you as a founder. Like now is the time when like it'll probably never be more yours than ever. I'm sorry, it'll never be more yours than now. And so maybe now is the time to just listen to your gut as much as possible and roll with it. Be like, I want something that I'm going to be living with. And if someone doesn't like it, I'll just tell them what Ben told me, which is like, hey, we can always redo it or whatever. Not that that's like a good business call or whatever, but I'm saying or whatever too much.
Yeah. Should we go back to the big file with all the crazy stuff?
I don't know. Do you want to? I've tried to pick stuff over.
You think you got all the strong things out?
I don't know. Let's go. You just brought it up, so let's do it. But one moment. Hold, please. Jamie, what's up with you? You got anything to say? Jamie, if you had to go with something from this, will you weigh in on stuff? You got any strategy for us or anything?
I saw this really pretty handheld mirror from Fenty. I thought maybe interesting. I don't know if a handheld mirror would be something we'd explore. Just thought about it. I sent it in the chat.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna play with that now.
Why did we move away from those, Dennis? I know we should actually post the arena channel that we got. I think that so we actually had some handheld stuff early on, and I think it might even be part of where that current golden one comes from, like the warmth of it. I think what happened was it felt so intimate.
It was literal.
Well, I was going to say it just didn't feel global enough. Like it was very difficult to have the handheldness feel I couldn't figure out any forms that felt that it was both like connected to the world and also it would fit in like this very specific form that we reference in like Disney movies and such. I just wasn't able to pull it off, so we moved on. But I agree that they could still be really cool. It has such a strong silhouette that it's a little undeniable. I got to see the Fenty one though. This is hard. It's the wrong. The circle's always gonna have a weird angle along one of the. It would have to be a radial. Whatever. All right. Where did you have anywhere that you remembered seeing stuff, Dennis?
They're like bejeweled. I mean, I think that's interesting too. So, I mean, like, what do you call them? Or yeah, these are interesting. I mean, I don't know where that would go, but just it reminds me of. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, like what's that game people play on the subway? It's Bejeweled, right?
Oh, right. I kept thinking Bedazzled. Bedazzler. Yeah, Bejeweled. Yeah, this was like a multiple identity concept. Well, it was. Yeah, I guess it was just more. It was just more nodes and edges, and then bringing the nodes together, I guess. And then it just sort of looked like what I was talking about with the reflection being different than the source.
We should pull that one. I like the one with the I don't know what you call it. It's not a mosaic window, but like a lattice, like a medieval castle kind of.
This thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that one, and then yeah, so there's just something cool about, again, like the shape and the rendering. Like even that's cool. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. It's funny. Unironically, the question that came to mind was, can you see yourself in it? Like I was looking for the nodes. Like I want to see the lattice like connect things together. Whereas this is just pure web. And then I said that, and now it's funny because it's a mirror, and that is kind of the question. The implication here is that mirror is a network that is like pure and strong and crystalline or steel or something like that, and you are like giving yourself over to it a little bit, like you're building on top of this. Like we're not showing you yourself, we're showing you the mirror, or like we're showing you a mirror or something. I don't know. This is just like I think I'm speaking oddly here because this is maybe the first one. There's no individual in this. This is pure network or whatever, which is cool.
It's like strangely beautiful, and yeah, I think like pure network, but still has this kind of ornate, even like fragile, maybe like snowflake or fragile glass, like hand blown glass or something.
This is gonna look like junk, or like it's just gonna look like a hash mark I'm just wondering when you really reduce it down, what actually is this, or are we just being hypnotized by the gradient rendering, which
maybe
can happen.
You're saying if it's like an avatar, it won't read?
No, I just mean like if you reduce it down to its basic. It's just like the fax machine question, basically. Like it's not you. Like, does this actually? Is there something there? Is there a there? Like usually I want to be able to draw the logo on like a napkin and still have it read successfully. Like that. Like you kind of want like a executive or just as myself as like a test of if I've hit some of the markers that I have for myself for a successful mark. Like I should be able to draw it. And in this case, I guess my question is it entirely dependent on the rendering style, or does it have something to itself?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I feel like that works. It's like the fidelity knob has been turned down, and it's like layers, and it's like a skin, or taking the raw data and then presenting it in the UI. Like I think all these metaphors are appropriate.
I don't know. I wonder if like something like the avatar would be full crop, or if it would. I think probably it would. Like, are we trying to imply an endless grid, or are we trying to imply this interesting diamond shape? I mean, I'm sorry, we're not implying it. We're showing it. Like, are we owning the shape, or are we owning the grid? I think this is the shape itself, but when you get into something like an avatar, it becomes a question. You know, like these two together is pretty interesting. I think it loses something obviously here. I shouldn't say obviously, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, back to.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the other Candy Crush. I mean, it was just, to me, it's just that rendering feels more unique than other logos. You know what I mean? Like colorful, kind of having a 3D bevel and stuff.
Yeah, and it's not like I should be talking trash about rendering as like a mechanism for identity. Like we've already talked about this, where that very early gradient that you did was probably as successful as a mark as we could get to some degree. It's like probably 80% or 90% of like pretty good. Gradients.
Can you pull that up for the chat? I'm just curious. So throw it into the mix. I don't think we have that. Or if you want to draw it.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's also interesting how much that plays into potentially something like digital native, where relying on something like a drop shadow or a blur or a gradient would not have been a good idea before, whereas now there's no reason that you couldn't. Like, why not? What medium would prevent us from being able to render it in this manner that we like?
Right, we're not printing it on. We're not faxing the logo. It's going to be on like fancy screens.
Actually, I had a whole bunch of them. I was trying to find a specific one, but
yeah, even the top slide of.
Oh, here it is. We should have had a poll. We should have set up a poll for people to vote on next steps. These were cool. Where did you go? Oh, here we go. You asked me this is what you wanted me to bring over, right?
Yeah.
Let me get rid of this because it's bothering me.
Hey, there you
I've probably told you this. I've probably shared this anecdote before, but what this rendering conversation is bringing to mind for me is there's, what is it called? It's a documentary. It's Jack White from the White Stripes, and shoot, I forget his name, from Led Zeppelin, and then the Edge from U2. And they're all they get them in a room together. Oh, it's called It Might Get Loud, I think is what it's called. It's a documentary, and It Might Get Loud. And it's just these three guitarists talking about playing guitar in like a rock band or whatever. And it's really cool because they talk about their individual styles and how they approach it. And the Edge from U2 is funny about it because he's like, yeah, I'm kind of just playing, like he like plucks a couple notes on his guitar, and he's like, yeah, that's basically all I'm really playing, and all of the work is really done in my pedals, where I'm applying layers of effects to each note that I'm playing to get these sounds that like echo and reverb in like melodic ways. And so he's basically like pure effects as a guitarist, and that's just what he's been doing for ever now, and that like he's completely confident in it. So he's in this room with these guys, and Jack White's just like jamming, and then you know but then they're also all super into his pedals, and they're like nerding out on how to build them and like what he's done in the past to like get these notes out of it. It's extremely cool, and I saw it like, I don't know, a while ago, and it gave me new confidence in just sort of pursuing your own style. But aside from that, it does, like this rendering thing is cool for that same reason. Maybe we never did. I have yet to really feel comfortable with any of the type that we're looking at, which is
yeah, and I feel like it affects so much
by now
how you feel about the mark.
It's unfortunate. By now, I think I feel like we would have been closer. I noticed that you've been doing all caps in tweets and such. Is that a choice that you're feeling good about, or should we be doing?
No, it just felt like a way to make things stand out on Twitter.
Yeah.
And like composing a tweet, it was like designing Twitter. It's like within the confines.
The Stitch Fix. Do they have a logo like that? Oops. So you were using all caps to stand out, so you don't necessarily have an opinion between the two sentence case, or
no.
Sorry if I missed you saying that.
There might be some, if it's like a mono font, it might be.
Yeah, that's
might be cool in all caps.
I like that triangular one that we had, like this one. I think it's a little on the nose, but I'm kind of into it. Like the OCR monotype monospace writer vibe.
Typewriter, yeah, like code.
So, Omar and Josh are both saying arches. If you were to go with arches now, do you think you would go with, we didn't ever really talk about these. I'm not sure if there's too much to say. I think maybe this kind of stuff just points to what you were saying with John about how there's just a lot of rendering options available if you go with the shape like this.
I think.
In which case, cool. My question becomes a little moot.
Is the proportion a little different? I think, it might be a little different, or maybe it's the same. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, there's cool variations, like the kind of purple feels a little arbitrary. I don't know why it would be purple, but yeah, it feels like another variation of the rendering.
Purple is arbitrary, because I'm also struggling with color. The only colors I've really felt comfortable with so far have been silvers, and reflective vibes. I think I may have been cool with that blue. Like that blue outlined arch from a while ago was probably like 95% there. But you guys didn't like the blue, and nothing else that I've tried has really felt any better. I think this was it. Like red, I wouldn't say. I mean, maybe we can just try some. But purple at least has a futuristic thing going for it, so maybe that's why I pulled it out. But also, I just wanted to try stuff that wasn't silver.
I mean, yeah, there's something nice about the blue being kind of a neutral, unopinionated kind of vibe that could work.
To me, this just felt I don't know, I guess I have to eat my own words a little bit, and as much as to me this feels sort of cute and funny, but it also feels self-aware in that it's like a gravestone, or it's generically ambiguous, and so it just sort of seems to own it fairly well. Like it's just not trying to do much of anything other than be like a friendly icon that's sort of funny because of what it is. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Iiterature has that kind of bluish vibe to it, bluish tone, kind of an inviting. What is that? Like an inviting cursor look? I'm not sure if blue has anything to do with cursors necessarily. Somehow it comes to mind. But hold on, let's just try, like, I don't know. I mean, red is interesting. The heat of writing, the heat of you're impassioned. I mean, high energy isn't like off from what this is, so red might make some sense. It feels like this red is wrong. Way too serious. Feels a little like red rum, like violent. Maybe it's
and I feel like now, having seen the more, I don't know what you would call them, the ones that look like more embossed in 3D, it's hard for me to come back and look at a solid color. It just feels like more boring.
Yeah. Well, I'm not so much endorsing this one as much as using it as a way to talk about color.
Yeah.
Because you were knocking on my purple, and now I wanted to, I guess, share my suffering with you, because it seems kind of tricky. Oh, I've started using this. Cat actually showed me gossamer as a color. I think it's actually supposed to be a little bit lighter than this, but he showed it to me on a robe. And I just love this color now. I'm trying to use it on stuff. It has like a kind of a weird modern look to it. It's like oddly dated, but kind of new again type look. We've talked about wanting to be more feminine or non-aggressive. I like the idea of like an off color palette, like an odd, unexpected one, which this has. But you've probably seen this color come up a few times now.
What does the chat think about colors?
Oh man, I might be wearing out too. We could take a break at some point, or we could, like, how are you feeling? Jamie, how are you doing?
I feel like this is good progress on just getting it all laid out. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff, and I mean, some stuff feels stronger than other in a good way.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like the silver vibe. I mean, I feel like that resonates. You know,
are people talking? Mirrors are back to silver. Yeah, true. Like a bread color. Thanks, Michael. The one on the right is insane. I just realized most people couldn't edit the Figma file. Oops. I don't think chat ever showed up in the stream. It's kind of a bummer. I don't know why that didn't work. I thought I had that set up. Oh, I wonder. No, it's not because it's underneath the layer. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out next time, I guess. Color of the future. I don't know, man. Beige. So Dennis, right? So we've gone through the exercise of laying this stuff out. Do you want to keep looking at the big canvas, or do you think we covered it? Because maybe the goal here, like maybe get meta for a second and talk about what we can accomplish. Like we have this PDF. I could send it. We could finish it now, and then now you'll have it, and we could look at it tomorrow. You could even post it tomorrow, which would be cool. I could post this conversation as like to accompany it. I don't know if this guy made it over. This guy's
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, there's so much. I feel like, this was a really good, update. I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that's independently strong. And then the question is, does it jive with like what we've been talking about? And I feel like, the arches still feel like, something about that we've just spent so much time talking about them and keep coming back to them. And the fact that all these it's just kind of this really strong form, or even like the arch is a kind of a platform to try variations on. Something about that is interesting. That one's cool. The tunnel. Yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? It just feels like there must be a reason we keep coming back to
it. The tunnel one to me felt like a what's it called? School of Athens a little bit, like the standing underneath the archways. Which was kind of neat.
C3 being, are you counting from 0 or from 1?
C3. Third row, third column. These. I think. Would it help to hand things over to Jamie a little bit? I don't know if like maybe take some of these arches and plug them in there, and like we didn't really use that resource much, and it might.
Are you talking about that one?
The one on the right. The one on the right in this case is really creepy. Not necessarily creepy. Part of it is, it could be, I don't think inverting this is gonna work. Jamie, do you wanna take over a little?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And like just plug some of this into. Does Figma have anything equivalent to a blend or like a repeat?
They have like plugins, but Illustrator is still like best for vector stuff. I was playing with the arches a little bit in here earlier though. I like the neon.
Here, I'm going to. What's up, people?
Yeah, make a PDF.
Am I in the wrong spot again? Where's this at? Yeah, what's up, Jamie? Jamie, how about you? What's up, Dennis?
The silver's cool. I'm into it. It's strong. It's one of the top ones in this call, I think.
I like the silver
the like purpley gray and the neon yellow, how they like kind of fight each other.
The purpley gray and the neon yellow. This stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into it. This kind of brings to mind this kind of this almost looks like finger streaks on a mirror, like a foggy mirror. Like you would draw this like it's there, but it's not quite there. It's kind of the effect that you would get like when you're mowing what am I saying? It's like if you mow your lawn and the two directions that you get, like the people who do the checkerboards across the lawn, is really just things dragging in different directions. It's got that kind of look to it.
Like folding the hair.
I feel like
right.
The one next to it kind of gives that like you're going into like the future, the void, or whatever we were mentioning earlier.
Mm-hmm. This looks like cyberpunk rave.
Yeah.
Like
It's like night mode.
if there was
Or
one
dark
around
mode.
here, I would try and go type thing. Yeah, these are cool. So Jamie, will you take like, if it sounds cool, can I get what's gonna happen if I give you one of these? Which one should we try? I was thinking that we could do the one that Michael likes and the silver one. And what, the gold?
Rear view mirror. Who's that quote from? Driving. Talk about driving a car into the future, but looking into the rear view mirror. Who's that quote from?
I don't know.
It's like McLuhan or something. Is it McLuhan?
It sounds like
Yeah, it's McLuhan. It's McLuhan, obviously.
Obviously. I do that all the time. Okay, so I'm going to see what happens when I paste these into Figma. That was part of what we wanted to figure out tonight, was like this flow.
For the most part, you can kind of paste shapes, but sometimes when they have like Illustrator effects, it like doesn't copy that great. You have to like expand them and stuff.
I mean, even those
That
three
works.
next to each other, something about just variations on the shape feels so cool, like seeing them.
Well, I thought you
One,
made a
two,
really
three.
interesting point, which was that you tied it into what did you say? It was like shape is to platform as skin is to user, essentially. Like you can, like you have this baseline structure, and now we can just do
Yeah.
stuff to it. That's really cool. Like even just like you just said, seeing these, if you see these in a row, and you don't think of these in the context of which they come, which is that these are sketches, but you think of this as a final system, then all of a sudden each of these becomes its own voice around a common structure within a common structure, which is cool. So I'm with you on that one. I think that's cool that you saw this. That's what I've talked to you before about how like fresh eyes, like clean eyes, is so hard and so critical in this stuff. Like you just saw these three next to each other in a way that I had not been looking at them. I think I've my eyes were covered a little. So cool. Nice work. And then I was trying to paste these. The gold won't come over. I don't know what's going on. I think it's because it's got the gradient mesh going on. Yeah, I think it's just because the gold is like this complex. Maybe if I render it, I wonder if I can. Rasterize it is what I meant to say.
Could you export it as an SVG from Illustrator, the gold one, and then try to paste it into Figma? Would that work?
See. When you were discussing there being a difference in the past and the future, more than one, I tend to prefer the pyramid. Oh. I was like, why is this bitmapped? And it's because I just rendered it, but I didn't need to do that if I'm going to export it. Wait, that's not what I want. All right. Actually, how can I just drag this into the browser?
You can drag it or copy and paste. And then there's also like a little like place image thing.
All right.
That works.
I think that worked. And Dennis, I'll send this to you. I know you asked for it like a year ago.
Sweet. So the SVG trick worked?
Yeah.
I would fix it.
Well enough.
Oh, cool. Command Y works in Figma, huh? Nice. Wow, that looks neat. This Illustrator doesn't do this with the arches. It looks like an architectural grid. It's pretty bad. We're losing steam here. I think either we need to take a break and start over.
What did you want to do here? You wanted to try?
Well, I was asking Jamie if she wanted to try putting some of this stuff into social templates. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
You think that would take a minute? I mean, I think it would be cool to see it, but we can also call it.
Well, I'm just saying I either want to take a break or I want to shut it down because I can tell we're slowing down and I don't. It's just like, what's the point? Like, I don't know. We've already gotten a lot done. We had a good discussion.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily set out.
We can break it. You can send me the social stuff later, but it looks like we're about to see some action.
Well, yeah. I'd like to see it. I'd like to keep talking. I wouldn't mind getting like.
I mean, I could go till midnight EST if you want.
I wonder if
I'm surprised there's still 19 people watching. It's pretty funny. Loyal Purette Army.
Why isn't it following your cursor? That was a. Oh, that's Josh Kaplan. That's why. Where's There we go. It's such a cool feature. Someone told me about this today, where you can it'll just automatically follow them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like multi cursors next level.
I'll get there. No pressure, Jamie. I was wondering if like a stripe pattern wouldn't be cool for a header. Or what else would we do? Like this is the.
Can you make your Twitter page dark mode by default? No, that's like a global setting, right?
Can you make
I'm not sure.
Can you make your own dark mode compared to what the user? No, I don't think so. Can you control how it displays? You're asking?
Yeah, I think it's like a client, not a profile, not a user setting, not an individual setting. You know, not an account setting.
I wanted to like open up or like lessen the stroke a little bit. It's kind of taking forever though in here.
Oh, you're trying to open up the space between arches so that it reads better?
Yeah.
I can just tell me and I'll do it.
Okay, could you do that?
Yeah, that's.
There's this weird like grouping thing though. So you have to ungroup everything like 5 times.
Well, it doesn't look. It's not doing a blend either, so it's like I don't have to figure it out. It'll just do it for me, which is nice. What do you think? Like, yay? How's this look?
Yeah, that's good.
You know, if the mirror, I'm just still kind of jazzed about your insight about the the surface versus the shape, and I'm just thinking how we could move forward on that, or what would it look like to move forward on that. Would you like to? I wonder. It's kind of like the early. Do you remember? Did you ever hear about, or do you remember the early MTV campaigns where it was like, I want my MTV, and part of that was that they sent
there's like hundreds of different variations on it.
Yeah, they sent it to all the different artists, and then they basically, it's like an early animated GIF.
I love that. Yeah.
I wonder. You know, it would be. You know, what's funny is you could, like, what if your logo was like, what if you crypto kittied your logo, where you had like there's like the generic version, and then there's. I'm just thinking, like, there could be like a little shop or something where you would pick the one that's on your profile, or the one that you have to see, and then. But maybe there's like rare ones, or I'm not sure. It kind of gets into that space. Like, how would I deliver a system like this to you? Would I do like 6 different? Would I do like, like what you see here, and then 3 more of them, and then you have 6 to play with? Or how? I guess we're getting into like the generative territory, but these aren't really generative. These are more like character or story or something. I mean, so, I don't know. I mean, it's the differences here are also just aesthetic. But like, if the one on the right looks like Mario coin, and the one on the left looks like, swords clashing, those feel like different types of stories, like different types of personalities, which is cool for the different writer types.
Yeah, and it's funny, through this we kind of get the blank canvas vibe.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, although it's not a canvas, but it is like a
form.
This element has different renderings.
Jamie, I like your templates. This looks very convincing.
Thank you.
Yeah, super cool.
I mean, for instance, does John have any arch shapes with like marble patterning applied to it anywhere? Like, has he already 3D modeled that at all? It would be cool to maybe.
I don't know if he's still tuned in. I don't think he has a ton tuned in.
I'm just very tempted to. I would just like to see it. Maybe I can just. I think I can just fake it real quick. Because what I'd love to see is, like, if we do an isometric. To use Alan's language. What I want to see is 2 clashing arches used in the same space. Because if that works, then that would tell us a lot, I bet.
Clashing, like, aesthetically, like the rendering.
Yeah. I have a hard time doing the shape in perspective. I think it's whatever. That's not what I want to do. I'm just sorry, I'm not speaking. I'm just drawing for a second. A very rudimentary approximation of something that someone more talented could do.
And then, how do you think the isometric one would jive with the, looking at it straight?
Just hold on. You'll see what this is. You'll see what I'm about to. I like how there's a. I've even got the watermark in here. It's good stuff. All will be made clear in just a second, maybe.
Yeah, Jimmy, this looks really cool. It would be cool to try like a light, if you have a light mode. Dark mode.
I can throw that together real quick.
It's funny because my Twitter's dark mode. So,
I don't think I've been light mode in like 2 years, so I just went ahead and did everything dark mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Okay, let's see if this goes over to Figma. No. All right, 1 second. I'm gonna try and crop in on this. Actually, I should do it in here because if I try and do it in Figma, I'm gonna make a fool of myself. I don't even know how to mask stuff. It's not pretty.
Okay, I was lazy with the follow icon. I just did a screenshot, so this is the best I can do.
What are you working on? Jamie, are you getting requests or something? What are you trying to do?
I was just making a light mode of the marker.
Is that what this
is?
is?
Yeah, the silver one on dark looks so insane, like in a good way. It's like razor sharp. It was fun. Whoa.
Derp derp. Where did the outline come from?
Okay. Sorry.
I'm jealous you got to go to New York recently, Dennis. Must have been nice to be back.
Yeah. It was a nightmare in many ways, which I'll tell you about another time.
Yikes.
There's basically a lot of moving parts to the trip, and then like many of them went wrong.
Sorry, dude. Does that include your stroller breaking? Or was that like was that just a minor?
Yes. Yeah, that was one of them. I was surprisingly able to get new parts in like a matter of days.
Well, that's rough. Okay, but this is what I wanted to see. Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see stylistically two different, really, I'm getting tired. Two very different arches stylistically from each other juxtaposed, just to see how it came off as like a vibe, or like as a. We should have a vibe counter. I should have a vibe counter on my if I do these streams, just to see how many times it gets said per episode. It's such a whatever. And this looks cool to me. This is very interesting. This, I would say that these two. I mean, the art in the back is bad. Imagine that done by someone who is really good at 3D rendering, and it's like some nice, crisp, beautiful arch mirror, in marble. Who knows? Maybe marble's too trendy or something. But having iconic, like an icon next to a photorealism, next to, maybe you can actually get a mirror that's this shape and go out and take some photography of it, photos of it. Like, I don't know. This is pretty cool. And then maybe like everyone can get their way. Like Michael can get his future internet version, and Josh can get the sharp cut metal. All users, all people, all things for all people. They could choose. The user gets to choose if the icon is about death or if it's about themselves. Dun dun dun. What do you put in your mirror? Oh, this is cool. Is this what you were talking about, the razor sharp comment?
What are you looking at?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, just like it's like it like cuts to your Twitter feed. You know what I mean? When you scroll down to that.
These look like this. All of this These two look like software that is gonna fuck you up. Or like, it looks rad. It doesn't look like some of the words that you've said though about being experimental, or maybe this not being the time for taking yourself seriously, which again isn't necessarily how you have to read the situation, but since you are, then you may as well. Cool.
Yeah. Well, do you think these do take themselves seriously?
Say that again.
Is that what you're saying? You think these take themselves too seriously?
I'm missing a word. Does what take itself too seriously?
Just the way these are presented, these Twitter.
Do I think these take themselves too seriously? Only if you're. That's a subjective question. It depends on how you feel. I would like the personality of a new startup. Like, one of the things that can happen with clients for me is that there can be product, but like if I'm working on the product or the identity, there can be product potential or identity potential that doesn't speak to the personality of the founder or the founding team. In a way, like, to make a clumsy comparison, like if it's like really geeky guys trying to start a fashion startup, odds are that the identity is going to need to be some sort of like techie or thesaurus type take on fashion, as opposed to something really elegant and curvaceous or something. And when it's and because of the designer's position, I can sort of show you anything, and that doesn't mean it's right. So in this case, I would say, like, if this feels too serious to you, Dennis, as the founder, then it's probably too serious. If it feels like this reflects you really nicely in a way that you can maintain and feel strongly about, like, I would say, like, a good chunk of the purpose of this stuff is to make the founder feel confident and strong about what they're doing and like excited about working on their project. It's like, right. So how this feels is, it's a mix of like what we're trying to accomplish, and does it reflect on you. Reflect is a funny joke.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. This looks neat.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is like color. It's the dark mode. It's kind of the way we're presenting it. That makes it feel a little more serious.
I think what we could do.
Jamie, do you think we could try the glass lattice as the header image? Like, maybe that's pretty cool.
The what? Sorry.
Do you know what the glass lattice is?
The lattice thing, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that as a header could work. That it's kind of.
Could you copy that into the Ben?
Yeah. Should I leave it like that? You gotta mask in.
Oh no, not that one. The one that was kind of like the waffle. You know what I'm talking about? The one you put in the And that one's cool too.
It's the same one, I think, isn't it? It's just so that it's not cropped in. Look at my screen.
Wasn't. We'll go back to the Illustrator.
I am.
Yeah, didn't it have like edges? Yeah, yeah. It was I don't know what you would call that where it's not connected on the edges.
I'm sorry. Is this not the one that you're thinking of?
Yeah, that one. But the one you copied has way more. And
Right. Sure. It
the
just
edges are connected.
it lost the mask when I pasted it over. I'm just I
Okay.
will SVG it. Hold on, Jamie. It occurs to me, Dennis, that one way to put parameters around, like, let's just say that you wind up liking the multiple genre of arch option. One way to maybe put parameters around it as a thing, because it's sort of indefinite or infinite in its potential for how many styles you could have. So maybe one way to maybe think about it which could be cool, is to think about the different genres of content that you're going to have. Like the different types of creators or writing or what have you, and then build around that, around like the aspirational versus the realistic versus the crypto versus the social commentary, and then maybe have different versions which kind of take inspiration from a finite set.
Yeah, what is Oculus? I mean, the Oculus logo is cool. What was their old logo?
That's weird. Why did it not work? Funny, the SV.
The old logo was just like an eye, and it wasn't that cool.
Which of the Oculus was it? The really pure oval, like pill-shaped one?
Yeah. It's kind of like a USB-C port or something.
Right. If you're looking for it, it's on Corey Schmidt's site. Portfolio. This isn't gonna be it. I might have a hard time exporting this. I guess I could just do a giant PNG or something instead of trying to keep it as a vector.
And I kind of got it. Like
Oh, did you mask in on the right spot?
Kinda. It's not as like gradient vibes though.
Where are you at?
It's like weird.
Why can't I find your version? That's not it, is it?
No, I'm right here.
Is it hiding behind something? I see your cursor, I just don't see the lattice.
This is what I did, but it doesn't look right.
I'm like tripping out. You're showing me something, it's just like all I'm seeing is gray background. Am I in the wrong view or something?
Yeah. Just looking at the silver one, yeah, I feel like it'd be cool to nail the typeface that goes along with it. I'm looking at Figma over here. And I feel like
it's just like the gradient goes away.
Ben, you know what I mean? I feel like if like the silver looks too kind of razor sharp, we could kind of soften it a bit with the typeface.
Yeah, we if we think we need to, for sure. Like if sharpness is something that you don't want, then we can temper it. Then again, it could just look
like, how does the typeface play off the mark? You know, it'll pull it in some direction.
Yeah, well, it's tricky. It's like if the mark is super sharp and of a type, then trying to make it friendly with the font it could just wind up feeling awkward. They're gonna have to speak to each other somehow. So It's a matter of how you want to come across.
Mhm.
Not to say obvious things here. I'll do this huge.
Yeah, Jason, the thought was like it would be secondary maybe and kind of as the header. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make any sense.
This is built poorly enough that we're gonna regret it too. Sorry. Like color's gonna show up in between some of the edges here. All right, Jamie. Here's work. Yeah, cool. Sorry. There you go. I forgot about comments. It's not really an oval. It's a pill. An oval wouldn't have a straight line on it.
It's a circle with like the middle round, right?
Mm-hmm. Did anyone ever find it? If it doesn't feel uncomfortable.
It's midnight. I feel like.
Oh. Wait, what is this Jason? Who's Jason talking about? Or what's Jason talking about? Calm guys in the house. That's cool. Be a brand you want to be into. Grow into it. Not something that works today. That's cool. Make a mark that stands out. It's unique. Burns into someone's mind. Yeah, cool.
Well, I mean, it's cool. It's even like more intense now, Jamie. But it's cool.
I like it.
It's like medieval cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you like.
What did someone say? Renaissance internet?
Yeah.
Because John Kyle.
I didn't take that literally at the time, but like now I get what you mean.
You know, you could make a gravestone silhouette out of the lattice. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Almost like a grill.
We should remember I sent you that woman's work, Tauba.
Yeah. I don't think I ever commented, but I really enjoyed it.
It was pretty mind blowing. I mean, but it felt like it felt like some of were inspired by those patterns, but rendered in like this kind of embossed vibe might be super cool.
Jamie, these are really cool to see. That's cool. I like seeing the 3 marks in a row like that. Something about seeing those in a row vibes. Maybe it's because it looks like a cemetery or references one or something. Like it's a shape that seems to work well. Oh, you know what it is? It's like well, cemetery, yes, but then also just arches, like Roman aqueduct type thing. We do see those.
Yeah,
we do see those in a row all the time.
Windows in a castle.
Right. That's very relevant. Not the castle part, but castle part might be, but just the repetitious alignment or arrangement of these shapes is on point for us.
Yeah, it feels like Doom, the game, I don't know. That's a good one.
It feels like
Doom? Gotta sign off.
Wait, you have to explain the Doom reference. How does this feel like Doom? Did Doom have...
Just like, the map. Or maybe like a later version of Doom, or like maybe it's even Quake or something.
Well,
Quake was a little higher res.
I hear you. Something about this does feel like that, and I'm trying to think. It's almost like, was there like a little death? Was this like the heart equivalent over in the corner, where it's like your death meter? Was it? I don't know, something. Or maybe it's like maybe it's bullets kind of look like this, in the screen.
Do you know the Quake logo?
Yeah.
Kind of similar.
Oh yeah, sure. It's got that chiseled. That's what we should do. We should add some. We should add some scratches and and chisel marks on these things. Some little
Yeah.
some dimples and stuff. Some shotgun marks.
I mean, Quake was all like, you were all like in castles and shit.
Right, yeah, true. All right, you're trying to call it, and that's cool. Why don't you just cut it, and I'll sign this off
Okay.
too. Thanks, man. This is really interesting and cool. Thanks
All right.
thanks for your time and wanting to do this.
I think it was a success and good people, and I think it changes the process a lot when you kind of have more attachment to it if there's an audience. It's interesting.
All right, man. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right. Send me a PDF. Thank you guys. Jamie, thanks for helping out. This was fun.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Jamie, these are extremely cool.
Sorry, I clicked the button.
What's up?
I said I actually clicked the button.
You clicked what button?
The end button for the meeting.
Oh, did you?
Mhm.
So why can't I hear you right now?
Because I joined again.
Oh. Nice. All right. Well, hello. I'm super beat too, so I'm gonna call it, I guess. This is really cool. I feel like I could see like 3 of these in a row in different styles or something. Not to get all hung up on stuff. Oh, look at your little Perrant and 365 others. That's so cute.
I went in on these today.
Well, dude, you're gonna be able to use them for all your clients, right?
Mhm.
All right, cool. I totally just rolled in here hot, but this is dope. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jason. All right, yeah, let's call it.
See ya. Thank you for letting me join.
Yeah.
Bye.
You got to work tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Me too.
Thank you. Okay,
all right.
bye.
Thanks, everyone. I'm hanging up. Peace out.